Hello and welcome to this video. In this video we're doing something quite different actually. We're going to react to someone else's video because we've got someone on the internet claiming that accountants hate me for sharing this secret. Now this is from the wonderful James Sinclair, who I've actually had the pleasure of being on his podcast before. If producer Lizzie wants to put up a little thing up here about when I was on their podcast. And it's someone who I watch all of their content for. So if you ever need to find some content on business related, then this is definitely a channel you should be watching. I mean, he's what, on 80,000 subscribers at this point in time, so he probably doesn't need myself shouting him out, but he is a brilliant content creator, especially for entrepreneurs. If you're like me, invested heavily in trying to make a business grow, then he's definitely a channel you need to be keeping an eye on. And he's so close to that 100,000k mark as well that really you want to get people over there. But he definitely did a clickbaity title, and that clickbaity title was designed to make it so that you gave away the accountant secrets that go through from there. And we're going to dissect this video. We're going to see what parts he got right and what parts he got wrong from an accountant himself. So roll the intro. Let's figure out exactly if this video is just a whole load of cobble wash, or is it something you should definitely take advantage of. Let's have a look. Hello, my name is Aaron Patrick. I am a chartered accountant, a certified UK trainer with a fancy new logo, that QuickBooks Chap on the internet, head of accounts here at Boffix, and also your friendly podcast that goes live each and every Monday morning for Ask the Accountant. Now, in this video, we're going to react to another creator, and a creator I do have a lot of respect for, but we're going to figure out if this video is right or wrong. Every video needs to have that catch. Every video needs to have that way of hooking you in. So let's see exactly how they hooked him in. And then we'll go from there and figure out if this video is telling the truth or not. Let's have a look.
Here's the thing about accountants. Usually they're not super successful, but entrepreneurs can be. And that's why they hate me sharing these little secrets with you. I'm going to break down the things that I do differently. And I've had lots of accountants over the years advise me against these tactics. And I'm telling you now, they work.
See, this is why he's been successful in his videography career and his YouTube channel and everything else, because he has that hook, right? So now, hooked. For an accountant like me, I'm worried now for my job, obviously. But for you guys, it's, okay, so what is my accountant not telling me? What accountants are there? Now, accountants that aren't successful, I do have a little bit of a gripe with that one. There are definitely successful accountants out there. We wouldn't be running our businesses if we weren't, right? But he does have a point in terms of sometimes we are very much focused in our own ecosystem and our own echo chamber of what we do. There are accountants out there who push themselves and go into different ventures. I like to think I'm one of them, but there are accountants out there who's taken that to an absolute other extreme as well. There's people in this industry who are pinnacles of entrepreneurialism and going out there and really taking things. Look at Rachel from Accountancy, for example, right? She's involved in literally everything around the industry and more so. So there are people out there who are showing more to the accounting side. But he's right, your typical accountant, that's something that we need to be better at, I think. And let's listen to what he's got to say.
Now, the first thing I want to talk about are these people, bookkeepers. Now, bookkeepers are the magic sauce. They're the ones that have really taught me about understanding the numbers in your business. So you've got the accountants, these are the qualified people, but these people, the bookkeepers, are usually the ones that do all the work. They're the ones that prepare your accounts.
He's right in terms of the difference between an accountant and a bookkeeper. Bookkeepers are the blood of the whole accounting profession. What a bookkeeper's role to do is to go into QuickBooks, Xero, Sage and everything out of whatever system that business is using and make sure that that system is up to date. Making sure the bills are paid, making sure the invoices are included, making sure things have been put to the right pots and categories and everything else. And you're right, a bookkeeper will definitely have a much more in-depth knowledge of the day-to-day running of a business because you're looking at individual transactions. And yes, bookkeepers do so much more of that. Bookkeepers can file set of accounts and everything else. But the idea that an accountant and a bookkeeper, it's almost like the accountant's using a bookkeeper, I'm not 100% comfortable with, because the breadth of knowledge is there for all to see, right? It's not just that accountants do the accounts and bookkeepers do bookkeeping. There's so much more of interchanging these days. And actually the term bookkeeper and accountant can be very, very fluid between what the skill set is. I class myself as an accountant, but that doesn't mean I don't know how to bookkeep. Bookkeepers may class themselves as a bookkeeper, doesn't necessarily mean they don't know how to prepare a set of accounts. So let's see exactly what he has to say about this. But I would say, in my humble opinion, trying to separate a bookkeeper and accountant is really, really difficult because most of the skill sets are exactly the same.
Lots of people outsource their bookkeeping to their accountants, thus paying their accountants anywhere between 100 and 350, maybe more if it's a city accountant, to do basic bookkeeping work. Top piece of advice that I have got to give any entrepreneur is bring your bookkeeping in-house. I actually also say, because I'm a big fan of accountants, you absolutely need accountants. They're amazing people. They're just not entrepreneurs in many cases. Your job is to make sure you understand your numbers, you prepare your numbers, and you tell your accountant to make it as tax efficient as possible. So you know your numbers in-house. This is really important.
Yeah, 100%, right? The point here is that don't just outsource the accountant bookkeeper and just expect it all to be hunky-dory and expect your business to just keep growing. You need to understand those numbers. And his point here about getting an in-house bookkeeper, that is the dream and the investment that most businesses need to figure out when is the right time to do it, and sooner rather than later. Because if you have that in-house bookkeeper accountant, if you have that person who's working for you 24/7, then think about what they can unlock for you. They're the ones who's going to be able to tell you straight away that your profit margins aren't quite right, or there may be a grant available, or there's better loan interest out there. You need someone to be working on it. Now, a good accountant bookkeeper will look at that for you, but they're not going to be able to look at that for you 24/7. An accountant could be biannually, for example. A bookkeeper could be quarterly if they're just doing your VAT returns. There's going to be these things, and sometimes they just don't have the time and capacity to really look into those bits for you. But if you've got someone working full time, they should be able to understand it. And that means they can also help you understand it more as well. Why from one month A to month B did our sales increase? What happened? What was the reason for it? If that's not a seasonal reason, or that was something that you've done, like maybe a promotion, is there any way of replicating that and bringing that in? They're the sort of conversations that an in-house accountant, in-house bookkeeper can have with you in your business to help make sure that business is continually growing. Accountants and bookkeepers shouldn't just be a tax on your business. They shouldn't be just a cost that you have to worry about and figure out how you're going to afford each month. You should be seeing that cost as a way of being able to add value to it. Value is what it's all about. Added value is how you define a good bookkeeper and accountant to a bad bookkeeper and accountant. And what we're saying here, what he's saying here, is that at the end of the day, if you can get that internally, if you can get that magic secret sauce in there, it's going to be better for everyone. See what else he's got to say.
Theatre tax relief is like a R&D tax credit. If you're creating scripts or doing rehearsals, there's actually a tax incentive for theatres and plays and stuff like that. Now, I found out about that in my business and told my accountant. The thing is, there are so many nuances to tax. What's really important that you, the business owner, don't just rely on your accountant to tell you all the good things out there that could be an incentive for your business. You need to go out there, do the research, and then tell them to implement the stuff that you learn. Now, they might not like that, and in my experience, it means that you've got one up on them. But it's your responsibility. They don't know everything because they're a broad church. You know, they're doing stuff for plumbers, they're doing stuff for builders, they're doing stuff for restaurants and hotels, for childcare and care homes and software people. And you know your individual industry. So theatre tax relief, R&D, capital allowances.
Okay, 100% right. Every accountant doesn't know every aspect of every tax implementation that there's ever been. That's definitely true. But what I would challenge there is to find the right accountant, because accountants niche down. Accountants need to niche down to figure out exactly what's happening in their sector. Look at my sector, right? Very much QuickBooks through and through. So if I have a client who's not on QuickBooks, I've got to be really realistic with them and explain to them that actually I can help them, I can do much as I can with them, but I can't really get to the bottom of what's happening in their business because I know QuickBooks inside out. QuickBooks is my whole brand. I know the system. I'll argue there's not many people out there who know QuickBooks more than I do. So if I'm bringing on a client who's not in QuickBooks, I'm going to struggle to figure out exactly how to get the best efficiencies out of them. Same with the type of clients, right? We're really lucky. We have quite a few R&D clients. We have quite a few clients who are in the e-commerce area, and they do a lot of online sales. So that's our niche. They're the ones that we really deep dive into. I've got friends in the accounting industry who have every aspect about rental accounts, and they really deep dive into rental, and they understand every aspect of what a rental accountant can bring to you and all the wonderful savings they can have. Now, if I had a rental client, I will definitely be able to get them to 9%, no problem whatsoever. But I won't know that extra 10%. I would have to refer to a specialist if I really needed to. And that's what they're alluding to here. Within the accounting industry, we have specialisms of what we know and do, what we live and breathe, right? I live and breathe R&D. I live and breathe the idea of going through and looking at e-commerce clients and reselling and all that sort of stuff, because that's where my business is as well. And to James's point here, right, about entrepreneurials and accountants, for me, the only way I was going to ever understand e-commerce properly, the only way I was ever going to understand online selling properly, the only way I was going to understand bit of research and development properly was to get my hands dirty and get involved in them. That's why my businesses outside of my accountancy revolve around that ecosystem, revolve around that. My investments that I've made are in R&D businesses. My opportunity to go out there and buy and sell is all in online e-commerce platforms, so that I can see the pain points that people are seeing. I built my businesses, my other businesses outside of the accountancy world, based around what my niche of my accountancy practice was, so that I can have those proper conversations. Then I can tell people how annoying Amazon is to sell on and what the platform limitations are. I can go through those conversations with my clients because I've been there, lived there, and I've got the same problems in my business that I have outside of my accountancy practice. And I feel like really that's the takeaway from here. It's not just that you should be doing your research in terms of finding out everything else, and that's great. And if you've got that nuance about you, that's fantastic. But I know a lot of clients out there who the idea of tax just scares them and makes them literally shiver at night and can't go to sleep. And that's why they have an accountant, right? But your research should be not just to try and get your understanding of what reliefs or tax elements are available to you, but I think you should also do your research on the accountant that you choose. When we have a first conversation with a brand new potential new client, right, there's two things we're trying to figure out. A, we're trying to convince them that we're the right accountant for them. But B, and almost more crucially, is we've got to make sure that client's right for us. We've got to make sure that we're doing the right thing on behalf of that client. So we always are looking into ways in which to making sure that that client is the right fit, that we can actually add value to that client. We want to be able to make sure that every client that comes on board, we know inside out, so that we can figure out the solutions and everything else. And I feel like, yes, know your reliefs and make sure you understand them, but more importantly, have confidence that the accountant that you're bringing on, the bookkeeper that you're bringing into your practice, also knows this as well. Because what you don't want to be doing is just having that assumption they're going to know it and then feel let down later down the line. You want to have confidence from day one.
It might mean, and they're not going to like this either, it might mean that you have to pay another set of accountants a few £100 to get a second opinion on what your accountant's telling you. Now, I've done this many, many times in my career.
Yeah, great bit of advice. I mean, I'll be honest with you, it doesn't scare me if that happens, because that's what we do internally, right? If we have a piece of information that we're just thinking to ourselves, we don't know enough about this, then we go out to our network, we find the right accountant that's going to be able to give that particular piece of advice, and we go and probably outsource that particular work to them. So we're doing that internally anyway. And the idea here of going to find another accountant, the only thing I would say against that, or just be aware of, is that that other accountant will be starting from zero. They don't know your business inside out. They're going to have to learn and understand and on board. There's going to have to go through some AML checks. There's going to be a lot of friction to get there. So yeah, by all means, go and reach out to another accountant, maybe in that specialist area, to try and get that information and make yourself feel better. But again, challenge yourself. Find an accountant who is willing to tell you if they're 100% confident or if they're 90% confident, and know that there's an accountant out there who has a vast network and can go out there and get that solved for you. Because an accountant these days, because as James has already said, because it's so advanced and there's so much information that we need to absorb, and there's so many nuances to all these different tax laws and so much that we need to figure out on a niche level, that yeah, you really need an accountant who has a good network to be able to go out there. And that doesn't mean it has to be a massive accounting firm with all these different offices around the UK. You just need to have confidence you can find an accountant who has a good network, that they know they can rely on their peers to be able to go out and deliver the best service for you.
If you trundle into a bank and say, I've got an in-house, fully qualified accountant that works for me full-time, that bank manager is getting very excited because they know that you've got great financial due diligence at your fingertips.
100%. Like, if you can get to the point where you can bring in an FD, CFO, anything like that into your business, you are instantly going to be in a better position than you were before, as long as you've got the right accountant, the right person for the role, right? Because they can do so much more for you. Now, I would push this even further. The way that James brings it on here is he's like, right, make this big investment, get yourself a CFO, FD, or whoever it's going to be goes up there. 100%. Yeah. Every business should aspire to get to that point. Not every business will make it, but that is a great thing to put on your vision board as an opportunity to grow your business, right? Don't need the likes of me then. You don't need to have an external account at that point. Because what James is about to say now is that, well, then you can kind of get everything ready and pass it over to the accountant. Now, that works in some circumstances. We've got a lot of clients who do that for us and very happy for that to be part of it. You know, keeps us in the business, keeps our lights on. We love that. But actually their dream, and we have these conversations with them, is the right person for that job shouldn't just be able to go and complete those accounts to pass over to an accountant. Really, they should be in a position where they can file them in-house as well. Nowadays, there's no barriers of entry to create a set of accounts. The software is so much more affordable than it's ever been before. The opportunity to keep on top of things like using QuickBooks and everything else that goes with it means that you can actually prepare and get a set of accounts ready to file much easier than you've ever done in any point before. And I feel like we're in a position now, we're in that area now where we're going to be able to deliver those solutions much more effectively than we've ever have done. And that really excites me, because if we were talking about this a couple of years back, I would say there's no chance you would ever want to do it internally, because the software would have been ridiculous. Learning how to use the software would be ridiculous. But nowadays, software is so accessible that being an in-house accountant for someone and filing in it and doing all of that work can be really, really cost effective. And as James says in this video brilliantly, watch the full video, please do. It goes through in depth of what extra bits you're going to get from that, right? Like what the conversation there about talking to a bank manager and that bank manager being excited, like they're the bits that you're going to gain from it. It's a very expensive investment to make, but it's definitely a worthwhile investment, and you can definitely get dividends out of it.
I think for entrepreneurs, you'll always out earn a pension. That's my opinion.
We won't go into too much depth for this one. This is basically everyone's going to have their own opinion on it, right? James's view is that you can always outgrow a pension. A lot of people's view would be that a pension's the safety blanket, right? What happens if you come to a point where you can't work anymore or anything like that, right? That's the argument you've got. It's a risk factor, right? How risk averse do you want to be? Are you happy to be ploughing money into a pension pot, knowing that there's those nice tax efficiencies and everything that goes with it, and the ability then to have that nest egg later down the line? Or do you want to take more of a risk and know that in your own heart and soul that you can outgrow that pension pot yourself? That's something you guys are going to have to decide by yourself. I don't know what's right or wrong for you, but I do know that there are definitely major pluses and major negatives for both approaches. And realistically, for me, the best bit of advice I can give to this is just speak to an IFA about it, an independent financial advisor. It's not an accountant. The accountant won't be able to tell you anything here. The accountant can only advise you on what they can see from a cash flow point of view and a tax position. It's really an IFA that's going to be able to sit down and look and understand and feel what's right for you. Where's that money working for you? Yes, as an accountant, we're probably not really the right people to be talking to about pension pots and everything else. And I think sometimes people misunderstand what an accountant's role actually is. And an accountant and an IFA, an independent financial advisor, two separate different professions, right? And a lot of time people do actually put us as an accountant in the IFA pot. And we've got to make sure we're split from there. And we're split there for a reason. There's reasons around the fact that it wouldn't be ethical for us as an accountant to also be giving that advice. There are reasons, there's barriers, Chinese walls have been put there on purpose to make sure that we don't cross those streams and get involved and everything else. So if you're looking at pension advice and everything else, don't talk to your accountant as such. You want to be talking to an IFA properly. And the best thing you can ever do, and I've been involved in these conversations many a time, is have an IFA and an accountant in the same room. Then you can make sure you get the right decision from there.
And you know, like I know, if you extract some of this 1 million into your personal bank account, it's very, very taxing. If you took £1 million out in one single year, if you're a business, you're more or less paying half to the tax man. What's really important is that you understand selling a business has a capital gains tax rate that is way, way lower than income tax at the moment at the time of recording.
Okay, love this bit of advice, and definitely something people are aware of. And he's right to criticise the accountant, because sometimes it's not in their best interest to tell you that the best thing for you to do is sell your business and stop paying your accountant. Now, what this means is basically, and he's got it on screen here, the idea would be that, yes, if you're 10 million turnover and you're making £1 million a year, taking that £1 million out of your business is going to hurt from a personal tax point of view, definitely. But if you sell the business and use entrepreneur relief and use the opportunity to put it all through capital gains, then there is an opportunity there to be a lot more tax efficient, especially if you can kind of juggle it so it's over multiple tax years, and there's ways in which you can really benefit this going forward. And he's right, capital gains tax at this point of recording is a much better vehicle in terms of being tax efficient. But that comes with selling your business. That comes with getting rid of that opportunity cost going forward. And for some people, they're doing the right thing, they're selling at the right time, but others, it's just like anything in life, right? When is the right time to sell? Don't just sell based on the fact that it's a tax advantage. You should be thinking about when the right time to sell is going to be. The opportunity cost is at the back. Are you selling at its peak? Are you selling before it declines? Are you selling at the time when you know you've got opportunities elsewhere that you can reinvest that money into? Selling a business is a huge undertaking, and you need to be making sure that you're selling it for the right reasons, not just for tax. 100% agree with what James is saying here. Selling a business is a great way to bring up your personal wealth, be able to have an opportunity to get more money for maybe other opportunity costs. But just be aware that don't just watch this video and think I must sell my business now because it's tax efficient. Sell your business now because it's the right time to sell your business. Your business is in the cycle that makes it the right time to do it. Or you personally are in the position where you can take that money and put it, maybe invest in somewhere else. It's going to make you even more money. Because at the end of the day, that's what this is all about, right? James Sinclair lives and breathes the fact that he's able to invest his personal wealth into making more money and into making his business empire more productive and more efficient. And for him, he's not in a position where he's looking to sell his business assets at this point in time, because yes, it may be more tax efficient, but he knows that business A is most of the time in his structure helping business B. That's the beauty of what he's been able to build. And he wants more businesses to sell, because that means more opportunities for him to go out there and be able to bring business C that also helps business A and B. We love it.
In the last point, I said most accountants don't tell you that selling a business is where most of the money's made. But actually, most accountants won't tell you just how flipping hard it is in business. We know the facts that most businesses fail. Most businesses absolutely fail. That is an absolute guarantee. Most of you will fail, and I don't think most accountants tell you that.
Yeah, maybe we don't tell you enough, to be honest. But it's true. 5% of businesses only make it to 10 year, which is atrocious. There's a lot of reasons for that. We can do a whole different video as to why. A lot of it, unfortunately, is political. A lot of it is support from the government. A lot of it's down to, things that have happened that are out of control of that business, right? It's not always the business's fault. But again, from an accountant's point of view, all we can help you with is making sure that you have a going concern as best we can. And going concern means that you're going to be able to continue your business going forward. As an accountant, we can look at cash flow forecasting, we can look at opportunities, we can be the business advisor that you need from us. But ultimately, the facts are there not because of accountants, but because of stuff outside of our control. So yeah, we're probably not telling you enough, but we want to encourage you, right? Like, I don't want any of my clients to fail. I don't want any of my clients to not be able to grow and be able to take it to the next level. That's the point of being an accountant. Like, that's what we enjoy. One thing us accountants don't really enjoy is filing back returns, tax returns, and all that sort of stuff. That doesn't get us out of bed. What gets us out of bed, finding a good client that we can then work with, grow, enhance, bring in. What we don't want is a client that's going to fail. So yeah, maybe we don't tell you enough, but that's because we want to believe with you. We want to help you try and make sure that you're one of those 5%.
You're never going to make a lot of money from it. And if you're okay with that, crack on. Whereas the good accountant should be saying, you know what? Your model isn't good enough. It's never going to make you a lot of money. Are you okay to carry on? That's what this channel's here to tell you, because that is most businesses, by the way, gang. It's a data-driven fact. Now, the last point on accountants is they are safe and steady. And that's why we need them. By the way, they are bean counters. And you need bean counters to make the entrepreneur super successful. But knowing they're safe and steady, most of them are not super successful. And we're taking our best advice from people that are not super successful. We're taking our best advice from people that are safe and steady. Unless you get through. Because like anything in life, I've met some amazing accountants, top level accountants that think more like entrepreneurs, that go, yeah, let's find a way to raise that 10 million. Let's find a way to build this business so it's a commercially profitable enterprise. Let's build a business so that someone wants to buy it. So actually, our business isn't an business anymore. It's actually an investment. How can we turn your business so it looks like an investment? Because when your business looks like an investment, it's worth a lot of money. Because most people think, well, I'm going to sell my business and then no one buys it. Only a few businesses get sold for the big money. The ones that get sold for the big money are not looking like businesses. They're looking like investments. This is why lots of people like investing in property, because they think it's an investment. Most businesses fail. The ones that are successful, the ones that are dressed and masquerade and actually look and feel and are investments. And so you want to find the best possible accountant. This is not slagging off accountants, by the way, this video. I'm very lucky to have an amazing set of accountants that work for me, that are around me, and they're the best people. But I've changed accountants over the years because I've realised that most of them are safe and steady. Well, if you're an entrepreneur, you want an accountant that's super successful, that's taken a bit of risk. If you're a property entrepreneur, you want to find an accountant that owns lots of property. If you are an entrepreneur that wants to sell their business, you need to find an accountant that's helped sell lots of businesses so they can give you some great advice on how you can be super successful too. And the big thing, this is the last point that I want to make about this video, and I alluded to it earlier in the video, you will be handed down trusted advisors through friends and family, especially with solicitors and accountants. Well, how do you know that they're the best ones if you haven't tried 3 or 4 others? And I think that is a big folly that lots of entrepreneurs and business owners are faced with. They are with the wrong set of professional advisors. And that goes for your banks as well and any other professional advisors. Sometimes it might be just smart to have a little shop around and see what else is out there. And if you really trust your current professional advisor, don't forget, just get a second opinion from another accountant, another solicitor. You might be just shocked how much money that can make you or save you. That's one of the best things I've ever done.
Couldn't agree more. And that's our point, right? Like, accountants are designed for particular niches. They're designed for particular ends, and you've got to find the right one. Now, we may not be the right one for you, and that's absolutely fine. But there will be an accountant out there that is. And there will be an accountant out there who can help your business because they understand your business. He's got it absolutely spot on. And to be fair, nothing he said there was inaccurate at all. I've got a few little bits that I don't 100% agree with, i.e. difference between an accountant and a bookkeeper, but that's just semantics, right? What I do agree with is the idea that you should be having the right accountant for your business. It's so important. It's so important because at the end of the day, you don't just need an accountant who's going to go out there and just file your VAT returns and tax returns. You need an accountant who's going to understand your business. Now, that being said, one of the big bits of advice I can ever give people is also ask their accountant, because a lot of the time when you first get to with that accountant, you're going to get in there and you're going to ask for what you need. And rightly said, at the very beginning of any business career that you're going to ever have, the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to be looking at a way of being able to make that accountant as cost effective as possible, right? You're probably going to go in and just take on board the compliance package, you know, the package that means that your accounts get filed on time, your VAT return gets filed on time, your PAYE gets done, right? Your tax returns are done. That's a compliance package, right? That's not a business advisory package. So to speak to your accountant, if you are feeling that the accountant's not giving you enough at this point in time, talk to your accountant ask them, is there another package that I could be on? I feel like I need a bit more advice here. I feel like I need a bit more help on what's going on. They will happily be able to talk to you, either by telling you that they're not the right accountant for you and here's some people we would advise, or they're going to say, right, okay, yeah, 100%. You've been on this compliance package for this long. For an extra, whatever cost it's going to be, we can then be much more advisory to you, because you're in business. You understand that you can't give away every piece of product and service that you have. You know that you can only sell those products at a profit margin, right? Accountants are exactly the same. We can't just give away every single piece of advice we've got unless we can make sure that whatever the client's paying for, that's what they're paying for, that they are on the right service. We have this problem with our clients all the time about what's the right service for them, what can they afford? And we're in an unfortunate position as the accountant to know exactly what you can afford and what you can't afford. There's no point me as your accountant selling you the Rolls-Royce service when I know you can only afford the opportunity to have this other service instead. So we're in a position, obviously, where it's in our best interest for you to be making more money and to be able to afford our Rolls-Royce service that we can sell you. But we have to work hand in hand with that. And sometimes that's the bit that James is absolutely spot on. But maybe don't just jump ship straight away. Maybe have an opportunity to talk to your accountant. Make sure you're right on the right package. Make sure that you're paying for the services that you need. If, like James already said, you've got that opportunity to bring in-house the compliance sort of thing, then why not find the accountant that's going to work hand in hand with that accountant to be able to look at a more breadth detail. One problem is if you've got an in-house accountant, is they're going to be very laser focused on what's happening in your industry and in your business. Whereas if you had an opportunity to look at another accountancy that works hand in hand with them, that's the holy trinity, and that's where you're going to get the most out of it. Because that external accountant will be able to have a more breadth, be able to see other businesses. The best thing I can ever advise my client is what's happened in another successful business in their industry. If this business has done really well because they've done X, Y, Z, well, that's the secret sauce, right? That's the bit that we want to be taking into account. That's the bit we want to grab in and we want to sprinkle into our other clients, because that's the bit where we can go, you know what, this is how you can be successful because we've seen it happening over in this other client. It's a very complicated world, and I'm glad he's brought this to everyone's attention. Yeah, we need to evolve. Accountants' profession at the moment is struggling to be able to find relevance, because we need to make sure that A, we can be compliant at a really cost-effective way and provide that compliance, and B, become the best business advisors we ever can. If we don't, our profession is doomed. And we need people like James to challenge us as accountants to go out there and be better than we've ever had before. So make sure you watch that video. Make sure you like and subscribe to James. Let's get him to that 100K sooner rather than later. And if this has been any use to you whatsoever, please use that like and subscribe button for ourselves. This is all about making sure that we grow our business opportunities, get out there, grow our network, find more like-minded businesses that we can help as well. We're all on the same page here. We want businesses to succeed. You know the Boffix motto by now. We want our businesses not just to survive, but thrive. And I think watching someone like James is the perfect way to do that. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think to the video? Anything that you missed maybe? Or is there anything you think he's got completely wrong? Let us know in the comments below, and no doubt we'll do a follow-up video on it. My name is Patrick. As always, this video has been an absolute pleasure to do for you, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.